All right. Howdy, Ken. How you doing today?
Doing good. Sporting my affiliate files t-shirt here. Getting nice and
Awesome.
centered here.
If you're listening on the podcast, head over to the channel and check out the Affiliate Files t-shirt that Ken is wearing. It is phenomenal. And if you're on the YouTube channel and if you're on the podcast, theaffiliatefiles.com, there's a shop button. Just click it. All kinds of cool merch there.
And we'll be adding more, by the way. We've got some new things coming out. Some cool sayings and things that you guys can live by and help you.
Yes.
That's what we're all about.
Terms of the trade. Terms of the trade.
That's right.
As an affiliate marketer, you got to create content, right? But before we jump into that, this is episode 30, and I have a list for you. I'm just going to read this list. Reviews, product comparisons, how-to, tutorials. Do you create any of that type of content as an affiliate marketer, Ken?
Absolutely, I do. I create them all. and it's just part of creating the content in order to attract the people that I want to attract. And I think that's definitely, I know that's something that you do as well.
Yeah. I think a key to that too is creating content. And like I said, those are talking about product reviews, product comparisons, how to form, if you're blogging or writing articles on your website, how to videos, how to do the thing that you do, how to solve the problem, and then tutorials. Tutorials could be how to, and I guess tutorials actually are how to, but it's just a bigger thing. I guess if you were just say how to do one thing versus a tutorial that shows you how to do everything. Yeah. But going back to what you said, when you said you create content to attract, do you create content to not retract, repel?
Well, it's just the way that you look at it though, right? If, and I know what you're trying to get to with that point, but if you are creating something, let's say how to, for instance, since we're in affiliate marketing, how to create a squeeze page or a landing page for beginners, and you're going through it step by step. Obviously, someone who is more advanced would not even want to take a look at your article or your video because it doesn't apply to them. So by simply focusing on the keyword or focusing on what you're trying to communicate and helping that particular audience segment, that is how you attract them, but also repel the people that you don't want to take a look at your content.
True. In the world of copywriting, they use terms like dog whistle copy, where you're sending the message out, you're yelling out, you're announcing to the world of the people that you want to pay attention. In your example, how to create that squeeze page or landing page. If you were calling out to someone that's not a beginner, you could be like, how to increase the conversions of your landing page or squeeze page. Yeah. And a new person might read that because it sounds cool to them, but it's calling out to the person that already has a squeeze page, landing page, and knows and understands what a conversion is and is interested because they have conversions and making that number go up.
Yeah, absolutely. I like that. So there's so many different ways to utilize that content, but obviously, as Gary has in the sign behind him, staying focused on what topic you're covering and really honing in on answering that question and providing value to the person that you're trying to communicate with. That is the most important thing, because if you're all over the place in that one article or that one video or whatever it is that you're putting out there, then you're gonna confuse your audience as well, and people aren't going to be, they're not going to be happy about it.
Yeah, for sure. So I think that idea, what we just talked about, is the content. What is content? Content, reviews, product comparisons, those tutorials, those how-tos. That's what content is. And understanding that that's what content is. And of course, that content leads a person to understand the problem. It helps them solve the problem. And of course, in the affiliate, you want to sell them a product. So for example, your squeeze page, how to create a squeeze page, you show them how to do it, but you're using a specific product or set of products or doing a comparison of products. And then you pick the winner. And then based upon that pick of the winner or the showing them how to do it in that specific product is how you lead them to the offer. And that's how you earn your commissions. So with that, my next question is for you is, how do you go about creating that content?
It just magically appears.
Yeah. It's true. It's magic.
Well, a lot of it is you build up to that. And we all start off, and I guess here's another point too, is when people start off, one of the questions that we always get is, what niche should I go into, and how far down should I drill? And because I don't know very much about it, and just because you don't know much about it, sometimes people avoid it, even though they may have a slight interest in it, they may avoid it. But what we tell people is that over time, as you start researching the challenges that your audience faces, you start building up that knowledge. So for me, it's a lot of it is reading up on my audience. I get ideas from social media posts. I get ideas from comments. I get ideas from, just because I use YouTube, and so does Gary. I get clues from YouTube. YouTube tells me how these people are finding me and what keywords that they're looking at. And based off of that, that's how I can come up with additional content. But in general, just doing product comparisons, product reviews, things that are related to my niche, and trying to solve that problem. That's where I can kind of find, the content that I'm looking for. How about you? What do you do?
Yeah, I mean, it's really depending upon, like, in your niche, like you said, it's the experience that you have. So first and foremost, typically if you pick that niche, you're going to pick it because you know something about it. It's going to be easy for you to write. So for example, if your niche was, right, you're thinking, okay, I'm in the pet space, right? So the relationship market, pets, and you're thinking, okay, pets is very broad, but what if I drilled down and I said, okay, what if you went to the shelter and you rescued a pet, and that pet was a puppy, and that puppy was a vegan puppy, but you're not a vegan? How do you deal with that? Right? If you have experience with that, and I don't know if you do or not, but if you did, you would really be able to write an article about that, right? You'd
Yeah,
be able to
absolutely.
create videos about that experience, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. And so having that kind of experience is important, but also you can learn from other people. So subscribing to other people's channels or other blogs, and just really understanding what it's all about, and how to take care of a vegan puppy. You'll learn, you'll
Okay,
learn by
how to
watching.
take care of a let me clarify, Kim, before we go any further. How to take care of a vegan puppy if you're not a vegan yourself.
Ah, yes, yes. So there's probably people out there that
I
talk about that
I'm
stuff.
sure it happens to people. I mean,
Yeah,
it could just
that's
sneak up on you.
yeah, and that's how you can learn, by catching up, and learning about the players who are in your industry and in your corner of the world, and just taking a cue from them and seeing what kind of content they're producing, seeing the type of, I guess, reaction that they get from people who comment and things like that. That's, you can get inspiration just by reading the comments from someone else's videos. You can see the questions that people are asking, and you can take the genesis of that video or that blog post and expand upon it further to cover those questions that people have already been asking. So it's just like one of those things where once you kind of understand where you can look, you can get a lot of content ideas for whatever type of niche that you're in.
Yeah, I mean, to be serious, of course, you have to think about the questions that people are going to ask. And then you can do what I would sort of call one of two things, right? You can summarize what's already on the internet, which a lot of people do and found success with that, because you bring your own voice, you bring your own experience inside of that summary, and you can sort of give your opinion on that summary. You know what I mean? But I think a better way, or I won't say better, I think a more detailed way to really get to the heart of the problem and find a real solution is, even if you are an expert, you can reach out to other experts and you can ask them questions. You become a reporter.
Hmm.
So you can become a reporter and you start asking other expert questions. So to go back to that example, if you were to go to the vet and you were to go to 3 different veterinarians and you were to ask about vegan puppies and how to take care of them, you're going to get that input from them, and you're going to be able to post that, and you're going to look. Even if you aren't an expert in vegan puppies, you can
Hmm.
go find experts in, anything in your niche.
Yeah.
So in the world of affiliate marketing, in the world of, anything and everything, when you're creating that how to or product comparisons or tutorials, or to add another thing to the mix, a simple guide, just to call it what it is, a guide to owning a puppy, a guide to raising a puppy. a guide to raising a puppy that has diabetes or whatever, to be serious about, there's different types of breeds of dogs and puppies that have different requirements to take care of them. And you, as a person out there that's interested in getting a puppy, you need to know these things.
Yeah.
So it's your job as an affiliate to create that content in whatever form you want to, how to tutorial, a review, a comparison, just a simple guide to explain somebody, look, I know you have a problem, but I have a solution for you.
Hmm.
Here's the solution.
Yeah. And, you brought up a very important point. And it just kind of took me back to when I was working in the corporate world. And I was in sales and I was partnered up with what we call back then a technical account manager. And the TAMs were just really, they handled all the technical aspects of the solution that we were selling. And I, of course, was just selling it. But what I did was I partnered with the TAM and he taught me more or less about the technical aspects of it so that I wouldn't be so reliant upon him. But the whole point of the story is that people would ask me, like, how do you do it? How do you know about all this stuff? And I said, well, number one, I had a curiosity about it. And so I would ask him to teach me. So he would, for half an hour chunks of time every week, he would just tell me like, okay, we're going to talk about this part and how it all works together. You don't need to know the nuts and bolts, but I'm going to teach you enough so that you are able to speak to it. And if it gets any deeper, then you can obviously bring me in. So that way you're not so reliant upon me being around. And other salespeople would ask me, like, how do you know all this stuff? And I said, I don't know it all. I just know where to go to get the answers. And I think that's part of it too, is you don't need to, if we're talking about the, raising a vegan puppy when you know nothing about it, right? If we're
I
gonna,
love that. I guarantee you there's not a whole lot of people that do know something about it.
yeah. But again, it all goes back to saying, right? If I don't know how to do it, then obviously reaching out to a vet, reaching out to other people who have, and literally interviewing them and getting them to teach you a little bit more. You can utilize that as content, but also it helps to kind of raise your level of knowledge, because depending on what kind of niche you're in and the type of people you're trying to attract, you just have to know 10% more than the person who is reading your article or even watching your video, and to be able to provide them with the answers. And you're going to grow along with that person as you kind of pull them along on your journey of raising that dog.
Yeah, in the form of content. If you're talking about creating content, it's just giving answers.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter what platform you give the answers on, whether it be your own website or social media or YouTube or wherever. You stand on a corner with a sign and you hand out pamphlets. You know what I mean? It's like the content is simply just the solution to the problem. Letting people know, hey, I can get you the information you need to help you with the problem that you have. So that's a great thing to talk about how to create it. Thinking about creating it yourself, or even if you are sort of the conduit and you just say, okay, and you go out and you collect the answers and then you put it together. But then there's another way to do it. You can get it created for you. So you can literally just say, okay, I'm just going to go find the expert and I'm going to get them to create the content. Because even in the world of like medical advice, which you probably don't think about, but if you can go to places like Fiverr and Upwork, and there are registered nurses and doctors that are on there, and you can pay them to use their authority. They can write the article for you, and then you can use their name. In some cases, it depends, but in some cases they'll let you, or you can at least state that this was written by a certified professional. And then if somebody comes and says, well, I don't believe that, then you have the proof to back it up that you hired that person and their credentials, of course, if their credentials are valid. I mean, that's all part of the process too, right?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And in fact, prior to me starting off creating the channel that I have now, I had a channel in a totally different world. And it was, it was more in the alternative health, alternative medicine area, I guess you would call it. And, I had to produce content in an area where I didn't really know much about it. So I had to do my own research, but I did find somebody that had an interest in it, that could do the research and, put citations and note where they got that information from in order to put together the content that I was putting out there. So I would come up with the keyword or what I was going to talk about. I would come up with just kind of like a summary of how my content was gonna how I wanted the content to come out, and I would just let her know, and I would give her some articles that I did. I did all the research myself, but she would do additional research as well. So it was just to give her some inspiration, and she would go out, find all the necessary articles from reputable medical journals, and post that in there, and that's how we created the content together. So I totally understand what you're saying when you brought up that example.
Yeah, I mean, another way to do that, and you may or may not know this term if you're watching on the YouTube channel. Most likely you do know the term because you've watched 30-minute marketing or you've watched Ken Furukawa marketing. If you're listening on the podcast, depending on how you got here, you may not, but PLR, which stands for private label rights. This was a phrase or a license, really, a model, a licensing model that was sort of coined or created. I don't know exactly what year, but Jimmy D. Brown sort of started writing this content, and he started releasing it to groups of people, selling it in batches, selling licenses. So he would write, an article, a how-to article or a product comparison or a guide, and then he would release it and sell it to 30 people, giving everyone the same license to reuse that content as their own. And it was called private label rights. And that's just another way. It's another way to go out. A lot of times in different industries, this is called white label. So you've probably heard of white label software, where you buy a piece of software and you stick your own brand on it. They also do it with food and lots of other things where, lots of, Price Chopper, Price Saver, Piggly Wiggly, the Walmart brand, whatever, that's all made by one company, and they just stick a different label on it. You know what I mean? It's like in the car manufacturing, General Motors, a Chevy comes out one side and a GMC comes out the other, right?
Yeah, yeah. And that's a really great example. Expanding it out into the real world so that people can understand what that really is. And PLR, there's so many different types of it. I mean, Jimmy D. Brown, we call him the godfather of PLR. He's the one has created this entire industry around it. And PLR is an excellent way to get that kind of content, to get inspiration for, basically writing your articles. You can buy these types of content packs, and you can utilize that and, really take that as a way to inspire you to come up with additional content, make it your own, and use it for videos, use it for, blog posts, use it for whatever. And really it's to me, it's just opened up a whole world, at least for me, when it comes to just getting ideas, because, the people who put this stuff together, I mean, if you find really good and you buy really good PLR, I mean, this stuff's really good. I mean, this stuff's really in depth. It's thorough. And basically you have the rights to use this, which is amazing. And someone has done the work for you. It's just a matter of you going through, reading it, and maybe putting it in your own voice and adding your touches to it to make it your own.
So the way I like to look at PLR, specifically the PLR that I use, is done for you research. They give you the outline, and then inside the outline, they hit the main points. And depending on who you buy it from and the price and all that, I mean, it depends on how much deeper they go. They can even, like Jimmy D. Brown, can even create their own frameworks. And then they recommend, hey, you can utilize this framework as your own, or they teach you how to, you take their framework, and adopt it and say, okay, twist it, redo it, flip it, strip it, flip it, and come up with your own framework. Just use different words or whatever, you know what I mean? And just build it out of your own, because that's the point. It's yours to use however you want. You can either just slap your label on it and sell it, or you can make it your own. So, when you do that in the world of software, you can buy tons of software. And I don't want to go too deep in this, but inside the world of software, you can buy Linux or a Linux kernel that Linus Torvalds wrote. And you find a lot of software out in the software world that at the core, it's Linux. And then they just bolt on these extra features, like the graphical user interface is unique, but the actual operating system is Linux, you know what I mean? Which is just anyone can use. And that's something different, but the same idea sort of stands. And you see that in the world of affiliate marketing, like a lot of the products that Ken reviews over at Ken Furukawa Marketing, and I review at 30-minute marketing. These products are sold, and they're sold on places like Code Canyon or Invengato or whatever it's called. And these are PLR. This is PLR. These are white label products. They sell you the license for you to use however you want, and then you just modify it. You change the
Yeah.
color, you change the name, you add a few more functionalities, and Bob's your uncle. You're in the software business.
Yeah. I think it's called Envato.
Yeah,
But,
Envato. Yeah.
yeah, but I do, I mean, we do see that. In fact, there's a lot of similarities when we talk about those kinds of products that we review, that there's a lot of times you see the same. When we want to talk about framework, you see the exact same, members area where everything's lined up the same way. And, you just know that, okay, I've seen this before and I've seen it multiple times. And it just, I mean, that's the whole white label, part of it. But, when you come to it, when you think about it, if you really wanted to put something together, you really and put the time into it, you don't even have to put together that framework. It's already done for you. You just need to build out the little bells and whistles that you want to add into that piece of software, and then you got something there that you could actually sell. So it's pretty amazing to see that you can even create your own app if you wanted to, so to speak, using someone else's framework, and you just bolt on the extras. It's pretty cool.
Well, yeah, and I mean the whole point, and we kind of went down a rabbit hole there
Yeah.
of the world, but you really need to understand it when we're talking about get it created for you. So when you talk about get it created for you, most people are instantly going to think about outsourcing, and that's one-on-one. That's you going to another person or a team, whatever, and purchasing the content that's only yours. You have an exclusive right to what they created. Now, see, the thing about it is what most people don't get. If you went to that person and they're an expert, do you think that every article they write for every person is going to be unique? It could or it couldn't be. I'm not going to say that it's not, because in the world of creating content, you need to think about how to check the content to make sure it's unique. Plagiarism, checking to see if it's been shared out there on the internet. But at the end of the day, something that's been written is something that's been written. If the question's already been answered,
Yeah. Yeah.
you're not trying to, and to go back to the world of copywriting, when you create content as an affiliate marketer, you're not always focusing on creating a better mousetrap. Sometimes you're just trying to create bigger, scarier mice, right? You're inflating the problem. You know what I mean? So you need to think about what the purpose of your content is, who's creating it, where you're getting it from, but don't be so worried about, oh, is this content unique? Is it only mine? The only way to create unique content is to take out a pen and paper and start writing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. But again, is the information is out there. It's already out there. So it's just a matter of, do you want to put in the time and effort to find that information, compile that information, and then put it into your own words? Or do you want to, maybe hire somebody like Gary had mentioned that writes that content, and maybe perhaps you go and you kind of put your own angle and spin on it? Or do you get something that's already done for you, something that's like in the PLR realm, and utilize that? So there's so many different ways to put out content, but the main thing is that as a marketer, you got to put out content, and helpful content at that. And even if it repeats some of the same things, it doesn't matter, partly because, the ideas are all out there. There's really no secrets out there anymore, folks. And especially when it comes to the online world, there's really no secrets. And if that information is there and you can add more to it and add more value, that's even better. I mean, that's what you should be striving for anyway, is to add more value so that your audience, gets the answers that they want, and you establish your authority and your niche knowledge to that person that's reading your article or watching your video. It's just only going to help you.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And I think the takeaways from this podcast is understanding what content is, what it is, why you're creating it, and you're creating it to attract and or repel your audience, or the audience that you don't want, to help them so they can find out about the product that you're selling as an affiliate marketer. So now you know what it is, content. Now you know how to create it. You create it by using your own experiences, or going out and finding other people with experiences, or, like I said, summarizing the internet. But typically you have to add something unique. If you don't add anything unique, then it's just going to fall flat, and it's going to go to that, dark, trash bin of the internet, where the majority of people that just summarize the internet and take 3 or 4 different, pieces of information from other articles and just summarize it, and don't even do, a better job, don't even make it longer, more detailed. Or if you want to summarize, think about summarizing and changing the format.
Yeah.
So if it's written content, put it into video or audio. If it's, a video that you read, summarize that and then give your opinion on that video on your blog. You know what I mean? Embed the video and then write an opinion piece. You know what I mean? Or write a comparison to what you heard or what you said. I appreciate their thoughts and their opinion in this video, but I'm going to tell you why this is wrong or dangerous and why this is going to help you more than what you heard here, and do it in a respectful way. But this is what you're in the business of. You're in the business of going out and finding information. And if it's wrong information, or if you think you have information that can help someone in a better way, then that's your job, is to create that content or get it created for you.
Yeah. And I think Gary brought up an important point is, put your thumbprint on it. Put your thumbprint on it. Make it your own in terms of giving your opinion, giving your viewpoint, sharing your experience. Because again, people are coming to your blog, or they're coming to your YouTube channel, or whatever it is that they're finding, and however way they're finding you, for information. This is your opportunity to showcase your knowledge, to share the value, to really lead them down that journey that you want, right? You want them to come there, and you want to blow them away with your content, and to have them keep coming back for more. Because eventually what that leads to is obviously the solution to the problem that they came to you in the first place for. And that's how you end up building that long-term relationship. And really, if you stick to we talk about ethos a lot. If you stick to your ethos, there's no problem with that. Because again, as long as you do your research and you're not making some outlandish, crazy statement, you're going to be fine. You're going to be fine, because everyone's entitled to their opinion. But as long as you can back up your opinion with, with solid reasoning behind it, and that it's rational, then there's no problem with that. But yeah, put your thumbprint on that.
Yeah, your thumbprint. You're building a brand as an affiliate marketer. So think about what your brand stands for, your ethos, and then take the next step and build brand believers.
That by the way, Gary kind of alluded to build brand believers. That's coming to the merch store. I just had to throw it out there. That's how I had to pause. I'm like, wait.
Right on, Ken. Do you have anything else to add to episode 30, talking about content? This we could go on and on and on this podcast.
No, I've got nothing to add. How about you? You're good?
I'm good. And so we'll wrap it up. And with that, I'm Gary Baker. He's Ken Furukawa. We'll talk to you later.